Over to Europe now, where economies have been stumbling over a different set of problems than those in China. Yes, COVID-19 and the resulting supply chain kinks are part of it, but it's the war in Ukraine, energy shortages, and inflation that have been most challenging. For Germany in particular, rising prices are a burden for households and businesses alike.
Germany is in the depths of winter. Energy prices are high, and for everyday Germans, that's pushing up the costs of many other necessities, including food. High prices are also burdening businesses. Inflation has been the buzzword for 2022, hitting double digits in the autumn. While some economists are hoping that rate will start to shrink in coming months, prices will still rise unless the rate falls back closer to zero. German consumers are adapting. Economists say it's important for economic strategy to adapt too.
We have to set up our economies in a different way in order to sustain in the world that is now real. But I'm pretty sure that we can do this. So the German population has shown to be strong in this crisis. They reacted quite intensively, saved energy, supported Ukraine, and I think we get through this. And I'm pretty optimistic that Europe will grow due to this crisis.
The German central bank is forecasting a decline in average inflation in 2023 to 7.2%. A slowdown in price rises for consumers and businesses can't come fast enough.
Roughly 3 out of 5 German firms are pessimistic about the coming year. That's according to a new survey released today by the German Economic Institute in Cologne. Our reporter Christy Platzen caught up with the economist Michael Hütter, who directs the institute.
It was a tough year for business. Prices for everything were expensive, energy, materials. How are German companies feeling at the end of this difficult year?
So what we see in our survey is under the headline, Germany is the perfect storm, because we realized that the energy basis will change. The energy costs at a historical height in the aftermath of the Ukraine war started by Russia. On the other hand, we see a lot of problems in the aftermath of the pandemic, in logistics, high logistics costs, problems in managing the supply chain. And we realize that in some parts of the world, also in the United States, a new wave of protectionism is on the scene, on the political scene. So for the German business model, it was really tough, and specifically from the energy side.
And how are companies coping with these hurdles?
Looking back on the last 10 months since the Russian war against Ukraine started, not so bad as we expected during the year. They were able to manage a lot of things. They were able to react more flexible, more agile as we expected in the advance. But we see it's really a bad mood compared to the very optimistic view the companies had 12 months ago, because 12 months ago they expected that in the aftermath of the pandemic everything will be better. So it changed dramatically, and it explains the bad mood.
Now, you mentioned the German economic model. Germany relies on a lot of energy-intensive industries, glass production, chemicals, manufacturing. Do you see this crisis affecting that economic model in the long term?
Yes, you can say that this energy crisis really a threat for the German business model, because of the years before we had the idea that we can go on in a gradual way to assess, to come to a different way of production, to carbon neutral production in all these sectors. But now we see that the price hikes are so dramatic that there's no time for action. That is the background that the politics started to design new programs. The gas price break and the energy price break will help to make clear that in the medium term it's still possible here in Germany to act as an energy-intensive production. But the question mark is still on the scene, because in some other locations of the world, look for the United States, the Inflation Reduction Act also makes clear that the relative prices have changed. It's not only the price hike here, it's a reduction of locational costs you have in the United States. So chemical production will look more to the United States, and this is just a little bit at stake for the German business model.
The economic outlook has improved somewhat. Prices aren't rising as fast as they were. Does this mean that the worst is behind us?
That will be the best assumption we may have for the next year. We see a lot of improvement in the business climate in Germany as well as in the Eurozone. We realize that the consumers are more stable in their expenditure behavior compared to the consumer climate we saw, which was very negative. On the other hand, in the end of the year, the producer prices came down. They're not so strong from month to month than before. So my best guess is that the price hike just here in the turn from 2021 to 2023. From this side, there will be some improvement for the surrounding, but recession we will still see in the first half of the year, and then more adjustment will work out, and it will help us to manage all these threats we have from abroad.